What's good, YouTube? It's me, your boy Squiddy, back in their Squiddy. Let's do another market watch Squiddy for cards that you guys should pick up, because we haven't done one in a while, so why the heck not? Now, this is going to be kind of crazy, but there are some cards that are actually coming out in this new set that we have to talk about. I think you guys have to be cognizant of it, but it's GENEX. Why GENEX? Well, apparently there's a side set called Terminal World, which is a rehash of the existing dual terminal cards from way back in the day as a side set that's coming up in the OCG and inevitably will hit TCG floor. So when it does, we're going to get a lot of new support for GENEX, Ice Barrier, Infernoid, and presumably Ritual Beasts as well, based on the cover art of the pack that was leaked today. Now, GENEX has been leaked as of an hour ago, and these spoilers are pretty crazy. They're getting some new cards, and I'm going to show you guys this one on screen. It's a Link monster that requires one GENEX monster to make, and then when you make them, you can actually add any GENEX monster from your deck directly to your hand. And the other effect is a trigger. If a GENEX monster is added from your deck to your hand, you can immediately normal summon one GENEX monster in addition to your normal summon or set for the turn. So it's kind of crazy when you think about the implication with cards that are already in the archetype, like GENEX Undyne, getting infinite value out of that. Unfortunately, it does have a drawback where it says if you use this monster's effects, you are restricted from summoning in the extra deck except for synchro summoning using GENEX tuners. So that's the unfortunate part, but I'm sure this will still find a way to actually break GENEX because it's such a good Link 1 that also makes it that controller is no longer a vanilla. In fact, this Link monster is literally a retrain of GENEX controller, which is awesome, the poor little guy. But basically, to circle back to what I'm saying, you guys should pick up the DT GENEX cards that were in the original printing because a lot of those are quite cheap. So things like DT GENEX controller, which I think have already gone up, but if you can get them for like 10 bucks or less, why not? And then GENEX Undyne DT as well is a good pickup, but I think these were always $15 because people played them in older format Mermail. But I mean, you know, if you guys have some cash flow around, maybe you could pick up some copies, but more specifically, the ones that are cheap are some of the other obscure ones, like GENEX Ally Birdman, which could actually be decently good. It's a GENEX tuner, and it also has a niche effect where you can spin a monster you control to the hand to special summon it from the field. Also, there's cards like GENEX Neutron. I'm not particularly convinced this card will be good, but again, this card is playable in some of the older formats. I think it's actually legal in Edison. I know sometimes in the older formats, actually, you play this card because it was an 1800 machine beater that allowed you to add Black Salvo. So this is definitely a card that was decently good in an older format. And then when you couple that with the fact that it's actually good in potentially with the GENEX support, then it could actually go up. The secret rares from the Shining Darkness are about $6 or $7. So this is a good pickup. There are also DT copies of some of the existing GENEX synchros, and you guys can read these and they're probably all garbage, but still they're only like $1 or less right now for the ultra rare printings in the DT format that are very, very scarce, to be honest with you guys. These have been out of print for years, and not a lot of people actually have them. So GENEX Ally Triarm, GENEX Ally Triforce, to name a couple of really awesome cards that are not very good in terms of effect, but could potentially be relevant depending on what's spoiled for the rest of the GENEX archetype, right? We've only got a brief taste of the GENEX cards that are coming out, and they seem pretty good. There's also Locomotion R GENEX, which is actually decent. This card has only 2 printings. One printing is a secret rare in Hidden Arsenal, and one is a DT ultra rare, so it could be a great pickup. You can make it using a GENEX tuner plus one or more non-tuner dark monsters. It's a level 9, but it says when this card is synchro summoned, take control of the face-up monster your opponent controls with the highest level. So this card is actually good in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like, I could definitely see us summoning this to steal a monster. It's a big eye. It's a non-targeting big eye that cannot take Link monsters or XYZ, unfortunately, because they don't have levels, but taking a synchro or like a big monster is still a big deal. And because it's so easy to make in the GENEX deck and has 2 printings, I think this is something that you guys should definitely emphasize on picking up out of all the cards that we've gone over so far for the GENEX cards. Moving on is actually, speaking of the same pack, Infernoids. They're getting a lot of cool support that's been spoiled for the Terminal World pack, but more importantly, I think this could actually have some solid impact on the TCG metagame within the next month because we're actually getting the Diabell Star / Sinful Spoil stuff in the Aghav packs. And for those of you guys that don't know, in the Sinful Spoil engine, you can actually search out a card called the original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye that allows you to special summon a level 1 fire monster directly from your deck to the field. So a lot of people are actually hyping it up for Rescue Ace because they can summon out Hydrant. But for Infernoid players, you can actually summon out Infernoid DECATRON, and the Diabell Star actually has some really cool stuff. The card is actually Snake Eye Orc, which says if this card is normal or special summon, you can target one of your level 1 fire monsters that's banished or in your grave, either add it to your hand or special summon it, meaning that you can actually search out this card while you have DECATRON already accessed in rotation in the graveyard, use the effect to resurrect the DECATRON, and get a free level 1 body for your synchro plays or your link plays. So it's really well meshes into the Infernoid engine, not to mention the fact that having the Diabell Star to send Infernoid cards in your hand to the graveyard to get their effects to banish and summon back from the graveyard, or as fodder to banish for other Infernoid monsters, makes this really cool. And I think DECATRON is only like $1 right now. It's only got like 2 printings, I believe, or 3 maybe, but I mean the whole original printing for $1, I can't say no to this. I'm definitely suggest we pick this up, because the minute someone hypes Infernoids, guess what? All of these cards haven't been printed for years, and they will actually go to the moon. Next, let's talk about the Vanadium cards. Peaceful Planet CALARIUM is sitting at around $25 right now. If Vanadium are as good as we think they are, we've already seen them do decent at regionals already pre-Agov, but after Agov is a different beast, because we're getting a couple of new cards, including the new Synchro Monster, which is absolutely busted because it allows you to basically use 1 Realm Heart to go into your full combo now. It's just really crazy that they actually printed a card that's a level 6 Synchro that allows you to actually resurrect a level 2 tuner in your graveyard, special summon it, and then from there you can easily go into the Visa's Amritara, because you can do that with 1 or more tuners, and it's just like a bridge for what the entire deck needed. So I could technically see CALARIUM go up to 40 to 50, as is Primeval Planet Pearl Rhino and Rathos have previously been. It all depends on how good Vanadium are, but if you guys have a way to actually pick these up for 20 or 25, I think that's a great price point to do it right now, because it will actually see a lot of play, in my opinion, as a tier 2 or higher deck at the very minimum. The next cards we should talk about are actually the Ritual Beasts. Now, these are not explicitly confirmed for Terminal World by any means. However, after seeing the pack spoiler picture, in the bottom right hand corner, there was seemingly a retrain of Ritual Beast Tamer Lara, which brings us to think all but there will be support for these Ritual Beasts, and these guys are actually dual terminals, so inevitably they'll probably receive the support. Now, the thing that shocked me the most is when I went on TCG Player and looked these cards up, there was actually no reprints for Alti Canahawk nor some of the other fusions that were originally released in Secret Forces nearly 10 years ago, which is crazy. This card specifically is like $1 right now. I don't know why they're so cheap. Ritual Beast Alti Apelio as well, and the other fusions like Ritual Beast Alti Pedalfin. These cards have not yet been reprinted to my knowledge, so definitely could be a good penny stock pickup right now. There's also another one called Gaius Stapelio, I believe, which has an ultimate rare printing in the Cross Souls pack, I think, so it's around $8 or $9. So this is another option for if you guys want to pick up stuff for the Ritual Beast archetype. Personally, when I played back in the day, I hated this deck because it looped the crap out of its combo and it was really annoying, put up a bunch of disruptions. But if you guys want to actually catch in on the hype, this could be the opportunity before the new support is actually released, because the minute it's spoiled inevitably, then these cards will go up. In fact, I believe people are probably already on the premise right now and they're on the hunt for these cards. So you guys, after seeing the Squideo, definitely now you know to pick these up, so definitely do that. Next, let's talk about Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This is another hand trap that might resurface and see more play after Agov is released. Well, why? Specifically because of Pharaonic Sarcophagus, which is a card that's crucial for the Horus cards, okay? So when they play Pharaonic Sarcophagus, there actually is a effect that they can use as an ignition to discard a card to Foolish Horus cards from their deck, and they can use this up to 4 times per turn, meaning if you don't stop this, they're going to get an array of endless undead Horus monsters that come back from the graveyard. So being able to Ghost Ogre this turns off completely, and also gets this rid completely off the field, so they cannot mill any Horus cards in a deck like Tearlaments and then bring them back, because all they need is Pharaonic Sarcophagus on the table to start bringing back the Horus cards. And even if they start with Imseti and actually add Pharaonic Sarcophagus and then play it and bring back Imseti, you are still stopping a crucial rank 8 XYZ play just with Ghost Ogre. It does have some other crossover as well against cards like My Friend Peerley, potentially, if they don't have the Happy Memory. And eventually Centurions are going to come out sometime in I believe November, and these cards actually all activate in the spell and trap zones to special summon themselves, so you can actually stop them from comboing with Ghost Ogre. So I think Ghost Ogre will actually start seeing more play and will start to get picked up slowly and slowly, just like Drone Lockbird did over the past couple of months. So if you guys don't have your Ghost Ogres and Snow Rabbits from previous format, definitely pick them up again so you can have them. Next is the Vanquish Soul cards. I think RAZEN's only around $15 right now, and again, it's from a side set, meaning it's probably not going to see a reprint for a while now. And I don't know if you guys saw, but an OTS 24 has been leaked today, and we are actually getting an ultimate copy of Rock of the Vanquisher, which is really, really nutty if you think about. And I think a lot of players will actually start playing Vanquish Soul, but more importantly, we are actually getting Vanquish Soul support Nagov, which is kind of crazy. Like Vanquish Soul Jiao Long allows you to actually add a copy of a Vanquish Soul card from your deck to your hand, and it's a quick effect, so you can actually do this on your turn and then on your opponent's turn as well. And the deck is actually not too bad because Vanquish Soul actually does get a trap card that's decently good as well. So I think actually Vanquish Soul will see some more play, and that means that Vanquish Soul RAZEN, the main monster in the deck, will probably go up more than $15 because, hey, it's a side set, right? These cards are never getting reprinted, and they will always hold value. So in my opinion, you guys should definitely check out RAZEN. Next, let's talk about the final card on my list, which is the End of Anubis. I made a video earlier about the fact that we're getting a new Chimera card, which is actually called Baphomet, the Phantom Beast Dark Ruler. Yeah, he's a mouthful. But what he does is when he's fusion summoned, you can actually foolish a fiend, an illusion, or a beast monster, meaning that you have access to a lot of floodgate monsters that happen to be fiends. And the End of Anubis is actually a fiend floodgate monster that's a walking Necrovalley. He says while this card is face up on the table, all effects of spell, trap, and monster cards that target a card in the graveyard or that activate in the graveyard are negated, and you can actually foolish them off of Baphomet on your turn 1, and then using the Chimera that you put in the graveyard, you can resurrect the End of Anubis during our opponent's turn by banishing our Chimera, and then boom, we have a walking Necrovalley slash Arise Heart slash whatever the heck this abomination is that is going to be very, very good against decks like Tearlaments or decks that revolve around the graveyard. Even Unchained will not be able to activate their trap cards or the spell cards or the monster effects in the graveyard because this says any effect that activates in the graveyard is negated, unlike a Rise Heart where it says it still banishes and you still get the banished effects to special summon from your deck of Unchained, but this just negates everything entirely. So I think it's definitely a card that you guys should check out. So yeah, that's about all I had on the list on this video. If you guys had any other cards we missed, definitely let us know in the comments below. Other than that, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.